Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
We got another exciting 2023 ski collection video today.
Yeah, we're excited for this one, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. This one really feels like it's hitting pretty close to home for me. Bob as well will explain why. Different reasons than that Ranger video we just did. You know, in that we were kind of involved in the development, but this is a replacement of a ski that Bob and I have both spent a lot of time on.
Right, mixed feelings, but you know, once you get on it.
No, it's exciting.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited. I think it was time, and we'll get into the details of all this stuff in a little bit. But this is the Unleashed 98, and I think a great place to start is that these are twin tips.
Yep.
So maybe you can make a guess at where these are falling in Nordica's line or what skis they are replacing. But to summarize before we start, we have 5 total skis. So we have an Unleashed 90 and 90W, a women's ski. We don't have those up on the wall, but we will talk about those towards the end of the video. And then we have an Unleashed 98 and 98W. I have the 98 here. Bob's got the 98W over there. And then we've got this big old Unleashed 108.
Yep.
So pretty cool stuff. And we thought it would be cool to start with what skis these are replacing. And then kind of go into some of their influences from other skis that Nordica has. So, Bob, you got one over there. I got one over here.
Yeah.
No more Soul Rider 97.
No more Soul Rider or 87.
I mean, it was almost getting to the point where I didn't think I was ever going to have to say that because it seemed like Nordica was just going to keep producing this ski for forever.
Right.
I mean, it's almost been like, I want to say like a 10-year production on this ski. And it like hasn't changed at all.
Right, and good reason. You know, they really kind of nailed it first and foremost. And, you know, even for non-park skiers like myself, there's just a huge range of application for it.
Right. So this had become my personal daily driver ski the past, 4 years, 5 years. I did have some 87s as well, but really fell on that 97 as the ski that I really liked. And this is going to be my new daily driver.
Yep.
And I'm very excited about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the video. But these are, as Soul Rider replacements, there's more freestyle influence in these skis shaping and overall design and feel than some of Nordica's other skis. Right. But we see kind of some influences from some other Nordica skis as well, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and it's a good idea, I think, for companies that have established constructions or shapes that they know work well to mush them together. Yep. And I think that Unleashed is a great example of that.
Yep. So I think it's fair to say that there's some Enforcer influence in these new skis. You know, the tip shapes are different, but it kind of feels like they took a Soul Rider tip shape and kind of blended it with this tip shape just as a concept. There is longer rocker in these skis than we saw in the Soul Rider, or at least it certainly feels that way when you ski it. You know, the shovel's a little bit more elongated.
Right.
And then I think it's really cool that they brought in technology from this ski.
Yeah, I think more of it comes here. I think that this and this.
Yep, you basically combine those two skis
to make this.
Yep.
And that's a real smart way of doing it. You know, you get the playfulness, the freestyle mentality of this, and then kind of the more business end Santa Ana. You know, that Santa Ana is not full 2 sheets of metal Enforcer. We can talk about how they use metal in these in just a second, but even just the overall feel of the Santa Ana, and we've talked about this a lot, like there's no reason that a guy can't ski on this. We've seen it in like telemark skiers, you know, lighter weight guys. You know, people that just don't want that 2 sheet of metal Enforcer really enjoy skiing on these.
I was very close a couple times to getting this in a 179.
Yeah, it goes in 179.
In the park. Right.
Yep. So there's a lot of opportunity there, but blending those 2 skis really works well for this application.
Yep. So I think that's a great segue. Bob, if you want to kind of tell people what's going on inside this 98 and 108.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the men's and women's are the same. There's different length and graphic options. So, this ski and that ski that Jeff has there are the exact same, just different top sheets. So they use the performance wood core. They have their carbon integrated into the fiberglass, and then they use terrain-specific metal. So we saw terrain-specific metal come to Santa Ana, I think 2 years ago now.
Yep.
And basically what that is they have a tip-to-tail metal laminate that is of a certain width. And so the ski width changes, but the metal width doesn't change. So as you get wider into this 108, the metal stays the same. So in Santa Ana with 5 different widths,
Right.
it makes more
There's
of
a big difference.
There's
Yeah.
a big difference. Here we're only getting the 2 widths. The 90 does not get that metal or the
Correct.
carbon, just a wood core.
Yep.
But having that terrain-specific metal does make this Unleashed a different animal than this.
I agree. Yep.
So we definitely see that in both the flex. It's a little bit heavier. We get the snap of the carbon, but having that metal in there really takes this twin tip and just really turns up the volume and the performance level, and it makes sense on a bunch of different levels. But really what they're trying to do is get you into a ski that allows for creativity, power, fun, playfulness, and from what we've experienced, I think they nailed it.
Yeah.
So the construction is one part, and I think that creativity and the fun starts to shine through in the shaping. So a little bit different than, again, we're kind of blending Soul Rider and Santa Ana here when we have these skis together. Did you take my Santa Ana?
I did. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got it.
One of the big differences between these two, and you can probably show the same with that, is this tip shape. And I hope this comes through on camera because it's pretty apparent from where I am that this new Unleashed has that more abrupt tip shape, whereas the Santa Ana is more smooth.
Santa Ana's and Enforcers both have that low.
Yep.
Yeah. And it is like a total combination of this tip shape and
Yeah.
Enforcer Santa Ana tip shape.
Yep, same with the tail. This Santa Ana is lower and a little bit longer, and then we have a longer base contact length in the Unleashed series skis. So we see more splay, again, with that twin tip and freestyle perspective, but that longer base. And that's one of the things that we really liked about the Soul Rider from a skiing perspective is, wow, this thing hooks up quick and has a ton of energy.
Soul Rider I always thought was like the best carving ski in the wide twin tip category.
Yeah, even as flexible as it was.
Yep.
We're seeing more stiffness out of this Unleashed, so that carving power is going to get taken to another level. But having kind of that higher camber underfoot, not as much rocker in the Soul Rider. We're seeing more in Unleashed. Again, pushing it more to that free ride, that drifty, that fun-loving side of the spectrum.
Yep. Yeah, so we've had the 98 and the 108 on snow a couple times already. Probably not really quite enough to want to put out a full review just yet.
Yep.
I'm going to wait until I own a pair of these and
Okay.
can put what binding I want, where I want on it. But I certainly think we've skied in them enough to talk about them. I suppose we already sort of have.
Yeah.
But this ski's a whole lot of fun, this 98, and I do think there's a lot of different sides to it, so to speak. It's a multi-sided object or shape. I do think they took the carving performance to another level compared to Soul Rider, particularly in just like the vibration damping and how it feels when you have it on edge. But then I also find edge release on this ski is a lot easier. It floats a little bit better than the Soul Rider. A little bit less camber height. So I think there's more willingness for the tip to kind of stay on top of the snow. We were really lucky in that we had some really good snow to test this in. And then I am very, very, very excited to ski this in the park. There are a couple things about this that I think are going to be a little easier as a park ski compared to the Soul Rider. The Soul Rider could be kind of catchy sometimes, especially like switch takeoffs. I had that 185 for a couple years, and that for me was a little bit much in the park. And I think just the subtle changes to the tip shape in this ski is going to make a really big difference.
Yeah.
So super exciting. What did you think of it when we skied it, Bob?
I, was most impressed with the carving performance, and we're never going to sit here and say that a 98 millimeter twin tip without 2 full sheets of metal is an ideal carving ski, but
Yep.
in the right conditions, sure held up nice, ton of energy out of it.
Yep.
The carbon plus the metal really balances nicely with that tail shape.
Yep.
So it's, excuse me, not too demanding, but still gives you the right amount of release.
Yep.
With that ability to enter the turn easier than Enforcer 104 free, I would say.
Yep. And then this 108, super fun ski.
Yeah, this probably isn't going to be your one and only.
Unless you're Brooks Kern.
If you live and ski in a place where there's a lot of snow and you want that type of performance, then good for you. This
Yep.
is a great option.
Yep.
I think for most of us here, in northern Vermont, this would be a snow day ski.
Yep.
Whereas I wouldn't hesitate to take that 98 out any day of the year.
Yep.
This certainly has that upper end of flotation. And we just see a ton of that tail splay there. I mean, super playful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a twin tip.
It's a twin tip.
108 underfoot
Yep.
twin tip.
Big fat twin tip with metal in it.
Yep.
It's got a nice flex to it. It's not too stiff. I think you have the 180.
This is the 180. Yep.
Yeah. The 186 is like 2,120 grams.
Yep. Yeah, they're not like tremendously light.
They're not terribly light.
Yep.
The 98 and the 186 is just over 2,000.
Yep.
So, we are dealing with a little bit burlier of a ski. You wouldn't know it from how this 108 feels and turns and carves.
Yep.
You can bend it, you can flex it into that turn. So even on softer groomers, we saw and experienced some really nice high level skiing on trail.
Yep.
Certainly the bigger the mountain, the deeper the snow, that's where these things are going to take off. And I think that, the creativity of the skier has a whole lot to do with how these are going to perform, on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
So what you put in, from a creativity perspective is going to have a lot to do with the overall character of this ski.
Yeah, and I think that's true with the 98 too.
Yep.
It feels like one of those skis where it can be a few different things for different skiers. Like I'm going to almost center mount a pair, and it's going to be a park ski for me, and I'm going to love it. And I'll probably ski some trees on it and stuff like that, and I'll carve around on groomers, and I'll ski groomers switch. Brooks Kern takes this and goes and skis like crazy technical tight lines in Smuggler's Notch.
Yep.
So that's just one example of like kind of how you can take these skis and go in a couple different directions. Like Brooks isn't center mounting them by any means.
Right.
He's on a much more traditional mount point, but he's been loving it. We've spoken with Brooks quite a bit,
Yep.
and he's really enjoying his. We saw him up there this morning, and he was skiing his Enforcer 104s, and he was kind of like, I've been skiing these so much, I forgot that like I have to ski really hard on the
Right.
104.
Right.
Because kind of a different animal, and that was really interesting getting his feedback, kind of directly unleashed to Enforcer.
Yeah. But I think that they did a nice job too of, not as much as we tried to take this and say, you don't have to use this as a park ski. This is a great all mountain ski. I think it still got pigeonholed as a park ski.
Yeah.
By marketing and the powers that be. I think that this is going to transcend that line a little bit.
It will. I think the shape, just the way it looks, like
Yeah.
you're not just going to perceive it as a park ski right away.
Yeah, and I think that that's a benefit for skiers for sure. That and we've talked about it for years. Like we love these wider twin tips.
Yeah.
For all mountain skiing as well as park skiing.
Yep.
And this is just kind of the next evolutionary level of that. So it's great to see.
Yep. Quick note on price: we got $699 here, $799 on the 108, and then that 90 that we kind of skipped over, that's coming in at $399.
Right, for a wood core ski, full sidewall,
Yeah.
same shaping principles. So whenever you're borrowing engineering from a higher end ski, I think that that's a good thing.
There's some trickle down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool price for that ski. You know, if anything, like that's the Soul Rider 87 replacement.
It
or
tops
Soul
out at a
Rider.
174 though.
That's okay. You
So,
know,
like-
I'm thinking a lot of younger park skiers.
Yeah.
Like it's nice having that affordable price tag.
Right.
Because park skiing is really hard on skis. Even kids that don't ski park, like they're really hard on skis. Like one of the kids I coach ripped his edge out because he went sideways over a rock and just didn't think about it.
Right.
Like kids tend to do that more often than adults because they don't. It's not their money
Right.
usually. But yeah, no, I think having that $399 ski is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were just talking before this too. Super impressive that Nordica as a company, between Unleashed 98, between that ski, between these two skis
Yeah.
in their lineup,
Right.
you know, Enforcer 100, 104 Unlimited, 104
Free.
free, Santa Ana 104 free and unlimited,
Yep.
and then this.
Yep.
So even within these two skis within Nordica, they just have a huge, like, grouping of skis
Yep.
that's good for a lot of different things.
Yeah,
So
and they're all good skis too.
they're all good skis.
There's
so-
just kind of some differences between them.
yeah, just really impressive as a brand that they have that much variety.
Yep. So that's it. That's the brand new Nordica Unleashed collection. Very excited to get these on snow more.
Yep.
Really excited to put out a 98 and a 108 review when we can. So keep your eyes out for that. Certainly let us know if you have any questions. We'll keep skiing them as much as we can. And yeah, if you want to know anything about them right away, just let us know. You can buy them right away. We're still waiting on like the key lengths, so to speak.
Yeah, we only have the smaller 98s right now.
Yep. But you can buy them, and we should be getting more inventory in pretty soon.
Yep.
So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you out there on the slopes.
Bye.